First seen as Dr. Jill Wetherill in 60s drama Heartbeat, she went on to make Dr. Jill a firm favourite in the medical spin-off The Royal, which returns to our screens this Sunday.
Jill, look, why don't you just take a few days to think this over, to be sure?
Gordon, I am sure. Come on, we've talked about this. After all, this is my decision. You know, it is my job. It's my career.
It's our baby.
I know. I know, and he's going to be absolutely fine. He loves his nanny. It's not as if I'm going to be full-time, is it?
Okay. Okay. But I still think Adam should have talked to both of us, not just you.
Please welcome Amy Robbins. Our very own outfitter, Catherine Zeta-Jones, isn't she beautiful? Look at her.
That's her sister.
That's her older sister. You're all similar, aren't you, Robbins? You're the most beautiful, of course.
But of course.
Apart from Ted.
Ted, obviously.
Oh, well, we're not talking now.
Ted says hello, everyone.
Oh, does he?
He misses you all. He's very well.
Is he?
He's fine, yes. I spoke to him only yesterday. He's fine.
He's a Roman as well.
You have such a dynasty going on there, don't you?
Well, there's 5 of us. Ted's the oldest. Not that he's old, obviously. I'm the youngest of 5, yeah, and I've got 3... there's 4 girls and 1 boy.
And more to come.
Showbiz?
All in show business. It's terrible, isn't it? Isn't it? Awful. God, poor mum and dad. They must have dreamt of having a normal person in their family.
Were mum and dad in show business, Amy?
My dad was, yes, my dad was in variety all his life. He did everything. He was a stand-up comedian. He had his own trampolining act at one stage.
Did he?
It's like real old-fashioned, you know, proper
yeah.
variety. And my mum sang and did bits of everything, you know, that kind of stuff. And so it is in the family.
And did they encourage it, or was it just sort of a gradual progression?
Oh, boy, did they encourage it. No, I mean, none of us were child performers or anything. We never went to stage school. It was never anything scary like that. It was just that it was just absolutely...
In the blood.
Yeah. And I think...
What about your kids, though? Because...
Well, I when I was growing up, I sort of tried to fight against it a little bit because I was sort of so aware that I was from this kind of Scouse Osmond family. You know, partridges.
Yes.
Only
You had
not
your
as
own
nice
show,
teeth.
didn't you? Weren't you like a child star in the
Robbins.
TV
The
show?
Robbins. Think about that. Yeah, I was 13, and the best bit of it was that I got to miss 3 weeks off school.
Yes.
Because we did a show at Granada called the Robbins Show, and it was. Looking back, it's quite dated now. It was lots of sort of dance routines and singing. And
Oh, bring it back.
We should have the reforming of the Robbins and the Nolans, shouldn't we?
I think I would actually die of shame if I saw it now.
Also, you've got a very famous cousin, though, as well, haven't you?
Yeah, he's quite famous.
Yeah. Cousin Paul.
Yeah,
Paul McCartney.
He's starting to use my name a lot now, which is getting embarrassing.
Yeah.
Was he?
Paul, let it go.
Was he a regular visitor to the house? Because we're all fascinated by such a famous cousin.
Yes, he was. Paul. Paul is my mum's cousin. And my mum grew up very, very close to all of her cousins, just like all the cousins in my family now are all very close. So she was sort of brought up with him, and so he used to sort of visit our house, and when mum and dad lived up on the Wirral.
And were you in any way in awe of him? Were you aware how famous he was?
I used to hide under the bed.
Did you?
I didn't know. I knew that he was famous. I wasn't quite sure what he was famous for, and I used to get sort of very sick with nerves before. This is when I was very little. This isn't last week. This is, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to hide under the bed, and I used to get this sort of you know, mum would call me down, and I'd eventually come down, and I just knew. It's almost like he used to give off this sort of. He was lovely. He is lovely, but he had this aura about him. And he would be treated entirely normally by my mum and everything, but I knew that he was something special, and I used to go very kind of...
But talking about famous relatives, of course, you're in the role which starts again on Sunday. Yes. You're married in the show to, what's Robert's character called?
Robert Dawes plays Dr. Ormerod.
Dr. Ormerod. But in real life, you're also married to him.
I am, yeah.
Did you meet him on the show?
I did, yeah.
Was it love at first sight, Amy?
Actors
Well, do you know, I can't remember now. I don't think, no, it wasn't really. We were friends. We were all very good buddies on the Royal. And Sheree Murphy, who came and did an episode, you know, she'll tell you, we're lovely. No, we have such a good time on it, and we're all really close.
It really comes over.
Do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely does.
Well, it's lovely to do, and so we were all good pals, and Bob and I were pals, and it sort of went from there.
And then you slept together.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, what's great, because on the clip that we saw, there's obviously some little sort of altercation about the children, but you don't have that problem because you take your kids to work, don't you?
I'm very, very soppy about about leaving the kids, I'm a bit pathetic as far as that's concerned. I get very uptight about leaving them. So whenever I can take them with me, we literally just take them in. And so if I'm doing a scene without Bob, they sit in his dressing room, and if I'm doing one, he come and sit in mine. And then when I need a bit of a kip or I get tired and I haven't had any sleep, I'll send them, you know, away for an hour or so with a girl that looks after them.
That's handy, isn't it? But working with your husband, most people would say if you spend that much time with your husband, working with them, it would be a nightmare, but it's not for you, is it?
It's lovely. It's all we've ever known. It's because that's how we met. And Bob and I spend
miss it, wouldn't you, if you were?
We spend all our time together. And then this is going to sound daft, but when I was little, and I was always very soppy about my mum. And when I was little and I used to go to school, my dream used to be that my mum would be either a dinner lady or a teacher at my school. I used to fantasise about not having to leave my mum every day and, please, Mum, can't you become a dinner lady at the school? Or can't you be a teacher? You know, just like that. And the only way I can sort of compare it, this is going to sound a bit daft, but having Bob at work with me is a bit like having your mum at school with you. Because, you know, when you sometimes if you're nervous or you feel a bit ill or I've got a headache or I'm a bit I haven't slept well. I go knock on his door and I go, Bob, can I come and sit with you? And we sit on it in our dressing room together and drink tea and watch our telly or do a crossword.
Oh, it sounds ideal, doesn't it?
It's lovely.
Well, listen, I am a huge fan of the role and I can't wait for it to return. Can you? So we just hope we see a lot more of you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, will you thank the gorgeous Amy Robbins?